artistry.
Everybody, how you doing? Welcome. It's your boy, Brian Pulido, proud publisher of Coffin Comics, and today I am here with the one and only
Steven Butler.
That's right, Steven Butler is here at HQ. We are so pleased to have him here. Been here for a couple days now.
Couple of days, been working hard.
We definitely work.
Lots of signing, lots of remarks for you.
That's right. Yeah, Steven is just. Yeah, you can't when you come to HQ, you got to come to play.
You got to jump in the deep end, and I've jumped in.
Side, remark.
That's right.
Well, folks, the purpose of today's show is this is actually a gallery show. We're going to show you some really cool Steven Butler originals. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about them, and yeah, that's it. I mean, one thing you guys and gals may or may not know, but that Steven and I actually go back 27 years.
It's been that long.
Well, I think the first time, I don't know how we met, but I invited you to contribute to the 1994 Lady Death swimsuit issue.
That's right. I remember that.
And I don't know how this happened, but you did the work, and we saw each other. We didn't see each other. Things go on and off. But recently, within the last year, 18 months, I found all those original thumbnails. So you sent about 6 thumbnails.
That's right. Yeah.
And I wish I had them here to show. I should have. But I said to Steven, okay, let's do them. So 27 years later, and that actually brings us to your artist celebration and all the new pin-up-y kind of stuff.
Sure.
Because actually, in recent years, people mostly know you for doing the homages.
The homage covers, that's right.
But Steven Butler's a very versatile artist, and so, folks, let's start showing you some of those pieces. These are the actual originals, and give Steven a chance to discuss some of them. Yeah. We're also going to take your comments, so feel free. But, Steven, let's take a look at these various pieces and maybe some of the thoughts that were going through your mind. Again, these were started out as thumbnails in 1994.
That's right.
It just got approved for use last year.
That's right. I did like 6 of them, and you picked one of them that was used for the book. But I had all of these left over, and found them and decided that hey, let's do them. And I said, all of them? And he said, yeah, let's go for it. And so what you're seeing here is the actual original art, the size that they were done in, 11 by 17. All done in pen and ink and brush and ink. Pretty much the tools of the trade that I continue to work in as a traditional comic artist on paper or on Bristol board. And what you see is the finished product before it was colored and how they look on, which is amazing in the printed comics. But it's really cool to see them on the wall like this.
I thought that was fun to kind of find those layouts again, because again, what we discussed is I do keep everything. So I have the strangest things. Like I have Bill Tucci, before he ever got published, gave me samples. I kept them.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, you're
nothing wrong with mileage,
No, because so that just shows you that I think that these images were completely valid back then. There's a question.
Well, we got some comments here. We got from Stephen Tanner Hurley saying Steven Butler is amazing.
That's right.
Thank you.
And KP Heathen said, hey, y'all.
What up?
Watching. We got Eric Hart saying, hey, Brian. Hey, Steven.
Hey, Eric, how are you? I saw a couple days ago, Eric Hart was pretty fired up about this promotion. He said, I think Eric, and I paraphrase, feel free to correct me. It's like, I like the great majority of what Coffin puts out, but these Steven Butler pieces are special.
Very cool.
You also got Roland saying, rock on, he's loving it.
Right on,
and
awesome.
Steven has another comment here. He says, absolutely beautiful.
We're so glad you enjoy them. I just love the technique. People use different tools, and Steven is definitely a traditionalist.
Yes, and I learned from the comic artists that I learned from are the biggest names in the business, going back to the 60s and the 70s, and they're all my favorite. The John Romita seniors, the John Buscema's, Jack Kirby is my main guy, but the inkers as well, like Joe Sennett and Frank Giacoia, and Tom Palmer and Klaus Janson, and I could go on. Mike Royer, oh my gosh, one of my favorite. He and Kirby were my favorite collaboration duo.
That's probably another thing we have in common. We're both like Kirby
like the sick stuff. Yeah, exactly. But one of the things, if you'll focus over here, I just noticed this. If you'll see these guys in the background, that comes from my memories of a movie called Wizards that Ralph Bakshi did, and Mike Plug, who did a lot of the horror magazines for Marvel, did pretty much all of the designs for that. And I just said, it would be neat to put those characters in this, and so that's basically what you see there. So a little bit of trip down history, memory lane there.
Yeah, if you like 70s Marvel monsters, you whether you know it or not, you like Mike Plug. Because he did the cover of like Werewolf by Night, The Monster of Frankenstein. I mean, the list
Man-Thing even.
Man-Thing, yeah, the list goes on.
We got CC De La Cruz watching and saying, awesome art.
Hello, CC.
Awesome colorist.
CC's the best. Thank you for everything.
And here's Mike M saying, Steven is definitely the best classic artist around. Rock on, Brian and Steven. Stay sworn.
We're going to rock on because you make us rock.
That's it.
Well, thank you for looking at those. Let's take a look at some of Steven's other incredible homages. We'll go one by one. So please feast your eyes on the original art for Steven's, I believe that was Blasphemy Anthem Homage Edition, which homages the classic Captain America #1.
Captain America #1. It was so much fun revisiting this because that's such an iconic cover. And I don't know if you guys know this, but this cover was done before the United States entered World War II. And here Captain America was on the cover, socking Hitler right in the jaw. And of course it was propaganda, but it was the mood of the country at the time. It was definitely the mood of Simon and Kirby who put this together for Marvel Comics. And it was just such a joy to redraw this and turn it into a Lady Death socking Lord Satanus in the jaw. And a lot of fun.
Well, that were simpler times, and the lines of who was the good guy and who was the bad guy were clear cut. And if you know anything about Jack Kirby, this little dude was like, he did not like, he didn't like Nazis.
Yes.
He punched a Nazi in a second.
That's right.
In fact, he's very patriotic, and that's what he was all about.
That's right.
Probably lost to time. Actually, the Nazi Party had visibility in the United States of America.
They did. I think he might have even been threatened by some of those guys.
Yeah.
I don't think anything ever came out of it, but there's stories about that.
So what I love about this is, if people know, I am a huge Captain America fan. I have a near complete, modern age Captain America collection beginning in I guess I'd say Strange Tales 113, is that it? It's the appearance of the acrobat dressed as Cap.
Right, with fighting the Human Torch.
Fighting the Human Torch. Yeah. And that was the way Marvel kind of tested. Now, I apologize on both mine and Steven's behalf because we go down total the nerd rabbit holes.
Stuff. That's right.
So bear with us. If you're into history, you're going to learn a thing or two.
That's right.
But all that Cap stuff. So it was great and it kind of fitting. And as we did the cover, I actually do write the cover for you to kind of explain, what do you want? We don't just spitball. It's like, hey, we're going to recast Hitler as Satanus.
That's right.
Instead of Nazis, we're going to have demons. And in doing so, I start writing the story of what could this be. And I think one of the current great unwritten stories is actually making that a story because it's so evocative. The idea of instead of Hitler and the Nazis invading Europe, how about Satanus and all these demons open up these hell fonts, and it's our characters up against them.
Sure.
Great unfinished business. Now, you and I got to touch upon
we dabbled in it then.
So we did a story called Tales of the Coffin Verse, and there was a 6-pager on the origin of Captain Death. And although we're certainly using the Captain America origin as a template, we actually do kind of go into different areas. So,
right.
So the story could be told one day. Who knows?
I'm game for whenever you are ready to go there. I promise you.
Right on. So let's make that happen. Next up, we have a recent one actually here. Any thoughts about this one that was done for Hell Witch versus Lady Death?
Well, it's another iconic cover going
back to Silver Surfer #4, I
Four.
believe it was, where Silver Surfer took on Thor, and by John Buscema was the artist, and Stanley, of course, was the writer. And this one was not so much intimidating, but I was so anxious to do it. And this is one of those, if you look down at the bottom, you'll see that bridge of skulls. And I think that probably was your idea, to give them a bridge instead of the rainbow bridge that Thor usually stands on. You're giving them a bridge of skulls. And then I said, well, I've got to have spikes on there as well. So I had to make it look really intimidating. And then the Hell Witch's surfboard, I like, what am I going to do different? I can't just draw just a regular surfboard. And so I had to basically turn it into something that looked like it could be a living thing. Yeah. And that's where I have the most fun, where I go in it's like you're creating something new from something old, if that makes sense, And paying homage to what has gone on before, but while you're doing it, you're creating something brand new, like you said, that you could go in completely different direction with it.
Well, what I find fun about covers like this is Lady Death really does fit the Thor archetype nicely. Like Lady Death really fits in my mind, to a lot of characters like Conan, because in my mind, her fighting style is very brutish if you were to see her. Right. Although we've hinted she's actually a classically trained swords person. So the idea that she kind of has that more intense masculine movement. Sure. And then I'm watching this, and we have like this skull rainbow bridge, and then instead of Asgard, it's probably Death Guard.
Yes, exactly, with the spiked towers and the gothic layout of the whole thing.
I also like when I get the piece in and I saw like the living nasty surfboard. That gets my brain going. I'm like, okay.
That's right. With the teeth, almost like it could be a mouth that swallows souls or something.
Of course, that's what powers it, right? There's a comment.
Yeah, Steven is asking, would you guys ever release these homage covers in black and white?
We haven't talked about that.
No, we haven't.
I mean, we have released the homages as an homage hardcover art book.
Yes.
Homages. Yes. It turns out that Steven contributed the great majority of those. But I don't know, that's food for thought. If we hear enough that people want something like that, maybe we would.
Right. He's also talking about an as-if edition.
Oh, like what if, as if?
That's cool. I like it.
Yeah. Many years ago, I guess I introduced the concept as a answer to what if would be reimagined. But as if is a fun one too.
Yeah. And then we got Mark Woodward watching. He's just saying this artwork is awesome.
I'm glad you like it, Mark. You're awesome too, man. We appreciate it.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think, sometime last year we introduced the concept that there is a thing called the Coffin verse, but running parallel to it is the Infinity verse.
Right.
And what I've invited people to consider is that all of the covers that we have done through the years are actually little glimpses into other alternative universes where all this could be true.
Right. That is so cool, and adds a completely new dimension to the whole project, and it's like you can link it all the way back to the first ones that we did.
You can. Yeah, I mean, and also in other covers we've done, like years ago, Richard Ortiz, this is going back like 8 years ago, did a cover that I call Prophecy, and it was always a prophecy for a storyline we're telling next year.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So there's, sometimes it takes a while to get to the story.
Sure. What comes around goes around.
That's right. Moving on to the next one, what do we have here?
Oh, my goodness.
Here you go. This is not an easy one, of course.
No.
This is an homage to the classic Infinity Gauntlet storyline. Right, that's it.
It is. It was the first issue.
First issue, and please talk about the background of this one, because look, in the Marvel version, there's like 19 or 20 characters.
Right. I was asked yesterday in the video that we did, it's like, is there, I think it was Julian that asked me, it might have been you Jimmy, asked me if there was any cover that I did that was more intimidating than the others. I'm like, I don't know about intimidating, but look at that one over there. Look at all the characters on it. It wasn't so much more intimidating. It was just very time consuming.
Yeah.
At the time, Brian, I don't think I knew a whole lot about a lot of these characters.
Yes.
I do now because of what you sent me, all of the information.
Yeah.
But it was a learning experience while I was actually drawing this, because inside all of these lines that you see here are all of the different Coffin verse characters, and I got to draw all of them. Most of them for the first time. And in fact, there's even one, this character here. I think you didn't even. You just said, hey, make a kind of. You gave me some parameters.
Space
to work
vampire.
with. Yeah, the space vampire. You said just go with it. She looks like this, and you gave me, I think, a verbal description, and I had fun. I had a lot of fun with it. But that George Perez was the artist for that, and so he was one of my all-time biggest influences.
Sure.
And, God rest his soul.
Yep.
He was a great man, great artist, and it was just a joy to work on something that he originated.
Yeah, I am also a big Perez fan. I might have heard in other feeds. My first commission ever was by George Perez in
Really?
1974.
Wow. 74. He was in Marvel early. That was
Very early. Yeah, he was starting to do Avengers.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I met him at a mall con.
Wow.
I got to meet him. I got to meet Frank Thorne, who was doing Red Sonja. And Frank Thorne brought a couple of gals dressed as Red Sonja.
Yeah.
I'm an impressionable, like I said before, I'm a 13-year-old. And like these gals are dressed like Red Sonja. Probably was life-changing. And I remember.
You have Frank Thorne to thank for setting you on the course for your life.
Yeah, thank Frank Thorne, Wally Wood,
Sure.
quite a few
Oh,
great
yeah.
artists.
Yeah,
Yes.
Fantastic.
Dad leaving all those
Fantastic
Playboys around the house, whatever. I don't know. The other things I would say about this and point out too is it was my job to actually write and provide to Steven all the reference to be able to achieve all the amalgams, all the equivalents, let's say, from the Marvel characters to our characters. And that is a little Easter egg because that character is a space vampire who will one day be introduced in a future storyline, but she has yet to be introduced.
Very cool. Yeah. One of the things that I like, we'll leave it with this, but the coffin is a very integral part in all of these covers. Most of them, you're going to find a coffin somewhere that's integrated. Like in the Captain Death, I used.
Oh yeah.
Basically, that was her shield.
Yep.
But here, I used it for the Infinity Stones on the Gauntlet itself, and so you're trying to find something for the coffins and the skull, because that is integral as well to be put in each one of them, especially the Lady Death ones.
Yes. Yeah, we call our main coffin skull King Skull.
King Skull. Awesome.
So next up is an homage that many people have done, but please feast your eyes on the La Muerta ASM 300 homage. Probably the most homaged comic book cover of all time.
I would say so.
I would say so. And
At this time, I would say so.
And there's a lot of work in there.
There is, and here I will tell you this: it's all done by hand. All those 1s and 3s, they're all done. They're all done.
Everything's done by hand.
Yeah,
right there. They're seeing it.
The whole thing with the logo and even the lettering on the sidebar there with the approved by the Coffin Code Authority. But this one was a lot of fun. It did also take up some time, mostly because of the 3s and the 1s in the city in the background behind her. But it was a lot of fun to do as well. Also like to put back in the where they had the barcode back in the original comics. I always like to put like the headshots of the character.
Yes.
The character there. Just something a little extra, to add to it.
Sometimes when we do the homages, we mess with them too. So we'll go back to the original. If there was a newsstand edition, we might mess around with it. If it had certain sort of like diamond shapes in the corner box,
right,
there's
right.
like a name for that.
Mm-hmm.
Only distributed to certain places. We slip some in.
Right, exactly.
We do. It's fun. Yeah, that's just another fun one. Come on around, and we're going to show you guys a couple more. Actually, here's another Captain Death cover.
Yeah.
But this one is of the classic Avengers #4, which reintroduced Captain America, and I believe it was 1963, to the world.
Right.
So
That's right. And again, I basically took the same design from the Golden Age Captain America #1 and applied it to this one. I don't think it really changed
Her
much
costume.
because he wasn't changed that much costume-wise.
Yeah, that's true.
From his Golden Age to his Silver Age appearances. But the characters that are behind her are basically different versions of her that I had drawn already previously on other homage covers. Like we have Lady Wolf here, and then the Death. It's the Death.
Yeah, what was the Deathlock one?
what her name was, but
Yep.
there's a lot of there's the Thor and the Mummy and
Yep.
the
Lady Satan,
ladies
type of lady.
Exactly.
Doctor Strange amalgam.
yeah, who's playing the Wasp here?
Yeah.
I just made it like she's way in the background. She's
Yeah.
not really small.
Yeah, that's how I viewed it.
Mhm. But that one's a lot of fun. I love to do these corner box illustrations because that was a big part of the charm of Marvel Comics back whenever I was a kid. You can always tell a Marvel comic by their corner box.
Yeah, that's something I've wanted to do too for a while. Is just do like a series of covers that are corner boxes. Just
go like he painted them. Yeah.
A couple of comments. Mark mentions that he always hated the barcodes on the covers, so he'd like those ones better. Mikhail's asking, sorry to be on my ignorance, but what is a remark?
So a remark, do you want to take this one?
I can. I mean, basically a remark is where you draw, it's more than, well, at least mine are more than doodles, but it's a small drawing drawn on an actual printed cover. And I've been doing them for the past 2 days since I've been here. And it all depends I use silver marker on some, I use gold marker on some, and sometimes I use a black Sharpie. It all depends on what is going on the cover. If I've got a big empty space, then that's great. I can do a big drawing. But some covers you only have like a small space to work with, because I don't want to cover up too much of the art, but you also people like these remarks. I think he's got one.
So I'm going to give you a sample of what a remark would look like. So here's one that Steven drew in. So it's enhancing the cover with his own art,
Right.
And his signature.
Yeah.
And here's another one that's kind of funny. So here's Chamber of Coffins, and here's Lady Death's face.
It's like a tattoo.
Yeah, tattoo. That is what a remark is.
Yep, that's it. That's all it is.
But they're cool. People love them. You know, it's very
Makes
personal.
them unique.
That's right. Yeah, we should mention too that we have about 5 different remarks options available right now. If you go to the link in the description, you can click on that. It takes you to the homepage, CoffinComicShop.com, and you can get some of Steven Butler's remarks if they're not sold out. So take a look right now.
Yeah, we just been, it's great to have Steven in-house, been here for a couple of days, and we've been refreshing our shop with remarks as Steven's here making some new ones.
Right.
So get them while you
I'm
can.
still not done. I'm still making them before I leave tonight.
Steven's signing on one part of HQ in the war room. I'm on the other side signing the Lady Death Kickstarter.
So we're burning the candle at both ends.
No rest for the wicked.
And then Robert has a suggestion. He says, I'd love to see a Boris Vallejo homage Conan type
Nice.
cover. Yeah.
We definitely have done Conan 1, which was great also.
That would be cool.
Would you do it?
I'd love
Have you ever
to.
done a painterly style one? Yeah, it's just a matter of like going in and getting the colorist to kind of just go for a painterly vibe.
I've done that before, but whenever I turn it in, I usually do like a grayscale, but it's still painterly, but it's grayscale, and then your colorist comes in, like Dan or whoever, CC, whoever will come in and put the color on there and really make it pop. Yeah.
Well, here's another very
boy.
ambitious cover.
Fairly recent.
Yes, fairly recent. I believe that was from Sacrificial Annihilation. It's the Coffin Comics Unnatural's Death Wars, which is an homage of the Marvel Comics Superheroes Secret Wars. That's it. That's the actual title. Like, people just say Secret Wars. Like, well, that's not the entire title.
Exactly.
If you go into the comic book price guide, you got to look up the whole thing.
Exactly.
And yeah, here was another one where there's a lot of amalgams. Having done the Infinity Gauntlet first, it was sort of easier to wrap your head around. Okay, this is going to be a big job.
Right. And I knew a lot of these characters already. There were a few new ones, like this guy right here was new, and I'm like, wow, who is he? I like him.
I love that guy.
And several other characters, but most of them I knew. If you can look and see, this was back during the day when comics still had a lot of like blurbs on the covers, and that was fun. All of it is hand lettered, and that was some of the most fun doing that. The hardest part of this one, I'm looking at it, is making sure that this fit, because there's a lot of letters in there, and making sure that it fit, and not only that it fit, but that it was readable whenever it was reduced down.
Yeah, that was for a fun story where we had all those characters in there. Pretty cool. And they're all represent everyone who wound up in the story, at least the good guys.
Yeah.
Are good guys.
Very cool.
And look, I actually believe I took a risk years ago, maybe about 5 years ago, when I said that I was going to take Lady Death in the direction we've taken her in, which is I am paying respects to 70s Marvel, and it has kind of a superhero feel. You know, Lady Death in the past, we've grounded her in horror or dark fantasy and Lord of the Rings kind of feel, but like this is definitely like we're going on a kind of 70s Marvel, but plus crossover kind of feel. And I mean, it was freaky. I was very concerned on how people would respond, but thankfully people responded well to it.
Oh, I think so. It's an epic journey, you know, and superheroes are all the rage now. And you still have all of those other elements that you were talking about with the horror and the Lord of the Rings type of stuff. But you're just putting it all into this unique blending pot that's working.
Many years ago, I was on a panel with, of all people, Kurt Busiek, and they were saying, what are your, Brian, you know, and the moderator was like, Brian, what are your influences? So I blurted out some of my influences. So it would be Jack Kirby, Fourth World, it'd be Jim Starlin's run on Warlock and Captain Marvel, and then I would also add Marvel 70s monsters, and then heavy metal music and horror movies. And Busiek just looked at me. He's like, "You were a very unique fellow. I have no idea how I see all those influences." And I was like, Dude, I could show you panel by panel where it all is. It's all there. And it's sometimes influence for me is not literal. So what I always adored about Kirby was, particularly during his Fourth World and that run he had, late Marvel, his DC run, is the explosive creativity.
Oh yeah.
Like this guy would introduce so many ideas that he sometimes couldn't even finish them. Like New Gods on its own is just chock full of ideas that have never been finished. Right. But they're just so explosively creative.
Exactly.
And so that's something I quite like. And I think with Jim Starlin, raised a Catholic, and there's just a lot of Catholic guilt stuff going on
the whole way through everything from the Captain Marvel stuff all the way through his Dreadstar stuff that he did a little bit later. But it still has the same types of themes in there.
Yeah, the conflicts.
And I could definitely see a straight line of influence from now that you mention it. Of course, he's an influence because I see a lot of his stamp on your work.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's awesome. Well, thanks. Well, I have a couple other pieces I'd like to show, so hang on right there. I'll bring them up to you.
All right.
Here is a recent favorite.
Oh boy.
So this was particularly successful on people like the Iron Maiden image. I think, I'm a big Iron Maiden fan. I saw Iron Maiden the first time they toured America. They were doing the Killers tour, and they were opening for Judas Priest. I saw them at the Palladium in New York when they came in, and I saw them at the, I don't remember the name of the venue in New Jersey, on the New Jersey shore when they were exiting.
Okay.
I'm trying to get, remember that. Come on. Palladium, was it Palladium? I think so. Saw them in New York and saw them in New Jersey shore, like coming in the States, going through the country, then coming back out.
Wow.
I don't know if you had any thoughts or recollections.
I've never seen Iron Maiden in concert.
Blasphemy.
I love their work. I love listening to their stuff all the time, and their songs lend themselves easily to comic book imagery, and no wonder they had their covers, their album covers look the way they do. So easy to develop. I will hold it out. So easy to see how their influences lend themselves to a comic book cover so easily. And I just had a lot of fun with this one. This is actually the second one that I've done. And the first one.
Here's the first one.
Trooper. Yeah.
And so.
Oh wow, that's it.
And so an actual Fiend saw Bruce Dickinson doing spoken word and actually had him personalize one of these, which is amazing.
That is amazing.
So yeah, there's Bruce Dickinson, and this is Steven's work. That was the first one.
Yeah. Love it.
Good stuff. Yeah, Iron Maiden, what can you say? It's a whole different panel. Check out, here's a heretofore unseen image. This is for a future upcoming edition. Where will it land? I don't know. Stay tuned. Yeah, she's cool.
And I think this is one, if I can remember, this has happened several times. I've done, on top of doing this stuff for you, I get asked to do commissions of Lady Death. And I think this might have originated as like a sketch cover commission for a guy. Showed it to, because I share all of it. If I do Lady Death, I'm going to share it with you. And I think you said, could you recreate that one? And so that's what you're seeing here. And so I don't know if I did that before the lingerie
Series.
No, but it's very similar.
Yeah.
It's in that same vein.
Yeah, we even have one more that people don't know about, which was an update of the first lingerie image you ever did.
Really?
Yes, we still have that in pocket. Do you remember doing that?
I do.
All right. Yes, that's
I
kind
haven't
of.
seen it in a long time.
Yeah. Well, sometimes like I ingest all this art, and then I just sort of decide, based on feel, when should it come out. So
Right.
sometimes, like I held on to Lady Bat for almost 2 years,
I
maybe.
know. I remember.
I was waiting for a Batman
Wow,
movie.
there it is. Yeah, exactly.
So here's a recent one for La Muerta.
Yeah, that's very
And this
recent.
one, it is a nice homage of Daredevil #1. I actually write the text too, so I am the person, it's not rocket science, he is the man without fear, and in this case, it's the woman without fear.
Right.
But yeah, I'll do the text.
So we just changed her, we changed the Billy Club to the gun here, and then we changed the gangsters to a tattooed gang.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely more related to her story.
Exactly, to her storyline. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, and then we threw these other characters in to be evocative. If you remember the original Daredevil 1, I think it was members of the Fantastic Four in there. 'Cause they're kind of, this is the comic, but they're advertising another comic.
Right.
cover.
Right. They gotta sell it.
Gotta sell it. And now here's a future one.
Oh,
So this is a beautiful homage of Son of Satan #1 with Lady Satanas. We are hard at work behind the scenes on Lady Satanas for a future storyline. The storyline's done. We believe we finally got the artist who's working on it. And one of the things different about this one that's kind of cool, Steven, is just how you handled the musculature of these demon steeds.
yeah, and I wanted to do something because I drew them just as regular, as normal horses, and I felt like I needed to do something a little bit different. I had the horns and I had the mane that looked like it was made of fire or whatever, but I felt like they needed something a little bit extra, and so that's where I went into the striations, like you could actually see the muscular system, like there was no skin.
There's like no fat on those horses, those demons. Look at them.
Yeah, and this was originally the cover for Son of Satan #1, I think, which Gil Kane was the. Yes, I always write in who I always give credit to the original artist. So that was penciled by Gil Kane and inked by Mike Esposito, way back in the day, '74 or something like that. Yeah, I remember when it came out.
Definitely a fun character, Son of Satan.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy too, because it's by today's standards, you can't straight up go Son of Satan.
Right.
It just drives people crazy. But it was there was Lilith, there was Satana, there was Son of Satan.
That's right.
All that great stuff back in the '70s, Marvel stuff.
It was just threw it against the wall. Let's see what sticks,
Yeah, it's fun.
And it all stuck for me.
I read somewhere, maybe in some fandom magazine published by Tomorrow's, that Marvel was just looking at the success of Warren. Something like that. And they're like, well, let's get in on that.
Right.
And so they started and Monsters were all the rage back then.
And The Exorcist had just come out and just did box office bonanzas. So
they got right into the market.
Yeah, it only made sense.
They did the definitive Dracula for sure in comics.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who does their own Dracula, it's like, how do you beat Tomb of Dracula?
Right. That's the watermark.
It's kind of the watermark. So folks, yes.
Well, one question here from Michael wants to know, with all the comic music and classic horror homage covers, could 80s slashers be something we see?
That's a great idea. And more rock and roll, 80s slashers. I know, just as a different topic, that art assassin David Harrigan is working on some of our characters as 80s VHS tapes.
Oh wow! Oh, that's cool.
So he's working on that. That should be fun. Remember, because the 80s were like the best time on earth for horror and for VHS.
Lady Death and Slumber Party Massacre.
That's right. That kind of thing. So yeah, you never know, folks. Look, it's been great to host Steven Butler here at HQ.
It's been great to be here.
Yeah, having artists in really brings everything to a focus and brings them to life. While Steven's been here, not only have we done his artist celebration, but we've actually been concocting great and exciting surprises for you for the near future.
Oh yeah, looking forward to it.
So unless there's anything that Steven would like to say, would you like to, anything else you'd like to say?
Thanks, guys, for supporting Coffin Comics and for supporting my work through Coffin Comics. Again, I'll say this: my homage work is a labor of love for me. It's good. I appreciate the work and it's great, but it's also a labor of love because I get to revisit the comics that I grew up loving, and hopefully I can, through them, it can transfer some of that same love to you, to the point that is like, hey, I want to go back and look and see where the original comics that these were based on come from, so you can maybe get into a little bit of comics history that I love as well. So anyway.
What I would say too is that's one thing folks may or may not know. When Steven and I proposed the covers to each other, we're on Facebook Messenger kind of yapping back and forth and sort of reliving all these moments because we do like so many of the same comics.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so cool, because we speak the same language.
Definitely speak the same language. Folks, thank you so much for joining us today at the Steven Butler Artist Celebration Gallery Show. Let's do it again real soon, shall we? Have a great day.
Sworn.
Sworn.